Hello DevOps friends, it's Jochen from Obsitive. Welcome to Full Stack Live, my live coding and administration channel. Because today we're going to do system administration mostly and less coding, I think, as far as I can. As far as I can see. I hope everyone is okay, and I'm doing fine too. And I'm pretty excited that my recent experiments went pretty well. On Tuesday, we worked on getting OpenSearch to work with FluentD as our log collector. And I almost got it finished during the stream. And after the stream, I had to put in a few more minutes, and it actually worked. And I'll demonstrate that in a minute. And today, we are going to continue the container home lab situation by trying to find good ways to deploy Docker containers in production. I'm excited to see what's out there and how we can actually get Docker containers running in production and manage them reasonably well. Hopefully without using Kubernetes, because I'd like to keep complexity as minimal as possible, and Kubernetes, while very powerful, comes with a lot of complexity that I'd like to avoid, at least for starters. So Docker Run will probably be a little too hands-on, because I'd like to be able to automate and orchestrate things, but Kubernetes is basically on the other end of the spectrum, and I'd like to stay away from that end too. We'll see what we can find out. There are a few options that we have, and I'm going to try them and see how they feel. As always, this is an interactive show, so if there's anything that you'd like to ask, or if there's anything that you'd like to share about, say, some open source software that you've come upon recently and are excited about, put it into chat. I'd love to learn new things from you and get new inspiration about great tools, stuff that you like, so feel free to share what you have. All right, so that's that, and I'd say let's get going with the OpenSearch setup. And that was in, let's see, no. Projects, source, what is the OpenSearch? Yep. Let's create a new tmux session here. Open everything in the editor. So just to let you catch up on what I've been doing, I have this Docker Compose file that sets up the whole environment, consisting of 2 containers running OpenSearch. That's OpenSearch node 1 here, and down here there's OpenSearch node 2. And thanks to these specific settings that we pass in through the environment here, both nodes do know of each other, so they will form an OpenSearch cluster once they've started up. Then there's a container with the OpenSearch dashboards, and just like OpenSearch is a clone of Elasticsearch, OpenSearch dashboards is a clone of Kibana. So OpenSearch dashboard allows us to visualize the data that we are indexing in OpenSearch. And in order to have some kind of a data source, there's also a web container running a pretty raw Apache image on port 80. And this container is then linked to the FluentD container because we've connected the logging of this container on the Docker level with the fluentd container by using the logging driver fluentd that's built into Docker. And we pass in the option fluentd address localhost 24.224 because that's exactly where fluentd is accepting data. Fluentd is another container that is linked to the web container. And we are building this container ourselves because we need to customize its configuration. It's linked to OpenSearch Node 1, so it'll only start up when OpenSearch Node 1 is also starting up. And here we expose the fluentd port, both on TCP and UDP. And that means whenever we access the web server, it'll write a log line with the access log entry, and Docker will then pass this on transparently to fluentd because that's how we configured this container. That's that. And the main work, of course, was configuring fluentd correctly, and I finally managed to do that. Down here we have the main block that copies incoming entries to two types of stores. Let's take the latter one first. That's simply fluentd writing what's coming in to its standard out, which, as is common in Docker, will then get stored in the Docker container logs. More importantly, there's this first store of the type OpenSearch, and that at the moment passes entries on to OpenSearch Node 1, and it's port 9200. We are using HTTPS, but without verification because we are not using official SSL certificates, but self-signed ones. And we also need to use the user and password admin because OpenSearch has basic HTTP authentication switched on. And then we'll store everything in the logstash format, as is common. The other block up here simply defines where fluentd accepts incoming entries, and that's on port 24.224, exactly where Docker will pass the log entries from our Apache container on. And in the middle, we have the block that I was missing on Tuesday, and that is a filter block that is of type parser and uses the parser type Apache 2, and that way fluentd can actually split up log entries from Apache into their separate details, such as date and time, error code, URL, and things like that. And that way we can then process these details separately in the OpenSearch dashboard as well. So all the magic that we were missing on Tuesday to get things properly split up is now configured in this block here. Yeah, it took me a while to find the documentation on that, and also an up-to-date example, as was the case for the whole setup here. The documentation around OpenSearch isn't too great, I have to say, and so this figuring this out took me quite a while. But now we're done. So what we can actually do, I'll open a new Tmux window here, so I have a shell for interaction left over. We'll run a DC build, and after that we'll do a DC up. And now everything is starting up. It'll take a few seconds for OpenSearch to find the other node and set up the cluster. Eventually, this should change cluster status from yellow to green. We are basically up and running now. And if I do a curl localhost, I'll reach the Apache web server because that container has its port 80 passed through to my host here. So if I do a curl localhost, I get an it works back. And if we look at the logs here, we actually should see output from the fluentd container, but that's not the case. Let me see. Here we get argument errors. Log does not exist. But that's for the startup. Oh, here. Here we have the log output from our Apache container, and here we have the output from the fluentd container. And as you can see, we have a JSON document here that contains the separate details. We have the host. That is the originating host, which is my VM here. User is null. There was no authentication. The get method was used as usual. We accessed path /. The return code was 200, and the size that was returned was 45 bytes. We didn't have any referrer and no user agent. Even though I used curl, I would have expected there to be a user agent. I think that's because we are not using the combined, is it called combined log format that will actually pass in referrers and agents. So I think in the most minimal log format we won't have any user agent information. Nevertheless, fluentd did actually split everything up, and these entries here are all info entries that I'm not too bothered with. So I guess we should be able to actually switch to our OpenSearch dashboard, which is available on localhost port 5601. Username admin and password admin. I don't have a dashboard yet, but let's take a look at our indices. Index management. Indices, and the Logstash indices get the actual date appended to them automatically. And here in our newly created Logstash index for today, 10/26, we have one total document because we only did have one log entry. So I think I could actually start a loop that accesses localhost. So let's do that. We'll simply do while to curl localhost. Let's output everything to standard out though. And then we'll do a sleep 1, and then we'll iterate. Yeah, I'm missing a do here. And here now we have a HTTP request every second, which should also create fluentd events every second, and that is actually the case here. And if I go to my web browser and I simply refresh this here, then we should be able to see, maybe it's a little bit delayed. Still says total documents 1. Maybe it's also cached? Interesting. Okay, specify how often the index should refresh, which publishes the most recent changes and make them available for search. Default is 1 second. 1 second is okay, but why are there no additional documents here? Maybe I'm reading this wrong? Well, let's try and explore this a little bit more. Let's see how easily I can create a dashboard. So we'll use stash asterisk. Primary time field. We'll use timestamp. And we also have a score, source, type, code, which is what I'm particularly interested in. Method keyword path, path keyword size. That does look interesting. So then, where do we go from here? We have an index pattern. Those fields seem to be okay. Hey Exegete, welcome to the stack. Containers are working nicely so far, and now I'm actually exploring how I'll get my web server log details visualized. There is this inspect that gives me the same information as the index pattern. Now, how do I get from an index pattern to a dashboard? Let's go back here. Let's try and find the tutorial. Open search, dashboard, Apache logs. Let's see if log ingestion helps us. Nope, that's using data prepper. But maybe at the end, how we deal with the dashboard will be the same. Can be viewed in open source dashboards by visiting the Discover page and searching the Apache logs index. You must create the index in open source dashboards if this is your first time searching for the index. So let's see what the Discover page can tell us. If we can find it. Yes, there is Discover. Here's the log stash. Index pattern. And here we have everything: host, user, method, path, code. Here are the counts. These should be more or less the same because we query the web server every second. So we should have about... okay, is this a half-minute resolution? So we should have 30 requests per second, and apparently it's not exactly the same every piece here. Sometimes we are missing one, but that's not of my concern right now. And what I'd like to do is, for example, in a production environment, I would like to see the requests that are not code 200. So if I can, I guess, what does this plus do? Yeah, here we can see the codes. By now we have 472 hits. We can get rid of this. So let's add a filter on code. The operator should be is not. And then we'll compare that. No, is not. And then we'll add a value of 200 here. Let's save that. No results yet because we don't have any queries that actually cause non-200s. Oh, oof! Now I stopped the wrong process and I'm shutting down Docker Compose instead of shutting down my loop. Yeah, of course, failed to connect to localhost. Okay, let's restart our stack here. Should be pretty quick, I guess. So what I'm going to do now is I'll query something that isn't there. So localhost test. And now we are creating lots of 404s. Yeah, you're right. Java might not be the quickest service to start up, but still it's, since we are in a lab environment, it's still pretty fast. So can I actually get the last, say, 5 minutes? And ideally, I would like to see to get this auto refreshed, but I'm not sure if that is actually possible. Otherwise, we'll simply have to reload the dashboard, I guess. And here we go. Nope, that's not the filter anymore. And we are back to 15 minutes. So let's try this again, 5 minutes. You are right, that's the Logitech vertical mouse. I really like it. It's one of the more ergonomic things. I have to press update here. Okay. And now, okay, there are less entries also because that's a minute that has just started. Now let's try again. Code is not. Could also choose does not equal, I think, but that's not important. And since 2:32, we have lots of errors. It does connect to multiple machines. You have 3 different Bluetooth channels that you can use. Now I have changed this. By accident. I think I clicked in the timeline. I need 5 minutes ago until now. No, not 5 minutes ago to 5 minutes ago, but yeah, set end date and time to now. Here we go. This is looking good. Okay, let's now stop the correct process here. So far, so good. I think this looks nice, and I'm pretty sure there are templates that you can use that are already predefined and give you different dashboards in terms of success or error code distribution and things like that. But that's not going to be something that I'll research right now. But I'm pretty happy with this setup now. I have a working Fluentd configuration to which I can pass HTTP logs, and this is already pretty usable, I think. What do you think? So, we could save this, I guess. Save search. HTTP errors. Okay, this did refresh now, and since I've stopped the curl loop, there aren't any errors anymore. And I mean, I could provoke one error here. Let's see how quickly this shows up in our dashboard. I'll simply keep clicking refresh. Apparently there is a slight delay. I'm not sure what exactly influences the duration of that delay. Still no error entry. Strange. Let's do a few successful entries as well. I think that was our error, wasn't it? That was the 404 here, yeah. Do I reset this? 2 minutes ago, yeah, okay. To now, maybe 2 minutes is actually too little. Yeah, the error has already scrolled off here. And these are the 4 successful entries. Yep, even 2 entries here. So I can click this one, and that's the code 200 down here. And if I open my HTTP errors view, here I can see this is the single error that I provoked. Yep. Everything is working as it's supposed to. Very good. I'll make a note here. Big success. And I guess we can now shut this down. But it'll immediately lead us to my next challenge, because having these running on my workstation here is nice and all, but now, of course, I would like to run OpenSearch in production, to actually feed it production Apache logs or web server logs. And that's only possible if I find a way to deploy these Docker containers in a reliable and manageable way. I can't, of course, always use Docker Run to launch these on any server that I want to, but that's not really maintainable. That's manual system administration, and something that I'm not too fond of, especially because things quickly spiral or scale out of manual control, and I don't want to end up in a situation where I have to maintain something by hand that I would rather not. And once something is already in operation, it more often than not is quite hard to relaunch it in a more manageable way. So ideally, I'll find a way before I get myself into trouble. There are, of course, many well-known, well-trodden paths for that. Kubernetes is one of them, and I definitely do consider running Kubernetes in production, but only as a service managed by someone who knows what they're doing. And of course, Kubernetes is the nuclear option here. It's the most complex one, and there certainly are solutions that range between or lie between the polar opposites of a manual Docker run and a fully automated and externally managed Kubernetes cluster. One of these options is actually Docker Compose. You can use Docker Compose to spin up something Then there's what I use for my home lab here, an application called Portainer that makes managing Docker containers easier. And if you want to get more DevOpsy and data center-y, then there's also HashiCorp Nomad that is able to orchestrate Docker containers in a larger environment without being too complicated. I'm pretty interested in trying Nomad. But that being said, maybe I'd like to take a look at Portainer too. Especially what the limitations of Portainer are. So why not take a look at Portainer? As I said, I have installed it on my home lab here, and it's running a bunch of containers already. I might even be able to show you that. So let's go to portainer.home.arpa, which is my home lab address for Portainer, but I don't remember the port number that I need to access Portainer on. First I thought I'd run Portainer simply on the HTTP port. That would have made accessing it now much easier, but I am running the Nginx proxy manager on there as well, which then makes it easy to reach all of my services that I have in Portainer without knowing their ports, because I can easily assign more memorizable DNS names. And of course, the Nginx proxy manager needs to obtain port 80 and 443. So Portainer itself is running on its original port 9443. Hey Remitsu, welcome to the stack. Thanks for stopping by. One of my amazing supporters. Yeah, 9443 might actually be viable. We'll try that. Otherwise, I'll simply access a service that I have installed for exactly that reason, and that is Heimdall, which will give me access to Portainer as well, because I stored a bookmark there. Here it tells me client set a HTTP request to a HTTPS endpoint. That is correct, of course. Yeah, 9443 already suggests that it is an SSL port. And so let's actually do it right. And here we go. Thank you. Of course, it warns me about the risk that self-signed certificates have. And here we go. I'll quickly log in here. But first I have to identify myself for one password. There we go. Now let's see, where's Portainer in this list? Here we are. As you can see, here is the local environment. Portainer can... I'm basically narrating this mostly to make mental notes for myself. So we can actually manage different environments here, which is already interesting for a production use. We could run a staging environment and a separate production environment, but that is, yeah, okay, let's see where the limitations are in the community edition as compared to the business edition of Portainer. Because, of course, multi-server environments, for example, will probably require the business edition, and I haven't looked into that much yet. Since to run it on my home server, the community edition is more than enough. And as you can see, I'm already running 9 images on here. Well, the images aren't as interesting as the containers, right? So there are the containers for Heimdall. As I said, that's just simply a service to keep a page of bookmarks that quickly get me to all my services in my home lab, and even web bookmarks that I use frequently as well. Jellyfin is installed, but I haven't migrated my Jellyfin instance over from my Synology NAS yet. This instance of Jellyfin is actually connected to the true NAS storage that is running on my home server as well, with a bunch of spinning Rust disks. So there's ample space for Jellyfin, but I'm not using it yet. Then there is the aforementioned Nginx Proxy Manager, which makes accessing these services a lot easier. And actually, I should probably add an entry for Portainer itself, so I can access Portainer without having to memorize the port, or without asking Remetsu again. Then there's Tube Archivist, which is a nifty application that allows me to automatically download YouTube videos by subscribing to channels in Tube Archivist. Tube Archivist will automatically download the latest videos, index them so I can actually do an extensive search on my archive. And yeah, so that is taking up a growing amount of space on my new NAS as well, and makes watching YouTube so much easier for me, because I only have the channels that I actually subscribe to, and I am not tempted by any algorithm to watch any other stuff and waste my time. Tube Archivist uses Elasticsearch behind the scenes, and that's why there is an Archivist ES container, and what the Archivist Redis container does, well, you can guess that yourself. Yeah, it's really, really handy. I mean, I can show you how it looks. There's not much in there that is personal about that. So let me actually go to heimdall.home.arpa, which should get me to my bookmarks. No? How does that not work? Oh, that is because, yeah, heimdall.home.arpa was the previous instance that I ran as an LXD container on my home server under Proxmox. And when I realized that that maybe is a little bit of overkill with its own IP address and stuff, I actually replaced it with a container running in Portainer, and all my Portainer services are under the portainer.home.arpa domain with a subdomain. So heimdall.portainer.home.arpa should get me where I want to be. Yep, here we are. And let's see, my office has 22 degrees and 684 ppm CO2, so I should not pass out anytime soon, except for being pretty tired, to be honest. Even though I had a good night of sleep, tiredness is still something that I'm struggling with. I'm not really sure why. So let's go to Tube Archivist. It asks me to log in. Where is the login for that? Remember me? Yeah, why not? Remember me. And here we have stuff that interests me. So there is Four Alarms and Hog, a great group of Irish comedians. The Linux Experiment, then Doug's Dharma about Buddhism. We have Al's Geek Lab, which is one of the great retro channels on YouTube. We have Talara with her live plays, her Let's Play streams, then This Week in Retro, and so on and so on. And if I go to downloads, there might be new downloads. No, there aren't any. So I have Tube Archivist scan YouTube once a day only to find new videos from my subscriptions, and then I can actually press ignore on what I do not want to download, and then I'll simply start download, and it'll start downloading the videos and indexing them in Elasticsearch, not only their titles but also their descriptions and stuff. So the search function is really comprehensive, and that way I have more than enough stuff that I want to watch, and I have difficulties catching up even with that, but at least this page doesn't show me anything that I'm not actively interested in. So yeah, I can recommend Tube Archivist highly. Let's now go back to Portainer. I guess it would be a good idea to go to the Portainer homepage, actually, now that you've seen what I'm doing with Portainer. So there is cloud and data center use cases deploy containers. That's exactly what I'm looking for, isn't it? So let us see what is possible here. Cloud and data center, industrial IoT and edge. Yeah, it's more cloud and data center in my case. Automated deployments or manual creation either works. What do they mean with automated? Choose Docker or Kubernetes? How about test deployments? Before deploying to prod, test your application with manual deployments, customizing your deployment through an intuitive and powerful web interface. And here we even have automate with GitOps, make Git the source of truth for your application deployments, ensuring that changes to your app automatically roll out to your environments. Balthasar, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the stack. I hope you're having a great Thursday. Yeah, I wasn't aware that Portainer can do so many things. I saw people use Portainer on their YouTube videos and in their home labs. So I thought, yeah, it's basically an alternative to Docker Desktop, where you can simply click a few images and spin up containers. But yeah, that's not really justified. Portainer is far more. And I'm only finding out now how far. So here we have Suat Ugurlu. That's very Turkish of a name. With Portainer, deployment time has decreased significantly. It takes very little time for developers to publish the apps into our production environment using the GUI. We plan to move to an automated GitOps-based deployment model in due course, which is another reason for selecting Portainer, as it has GitOps engine already integrated into the platform. Yep, nice. So, of course, I'm curious about the pricing. So you can get 3 nodes free. 3 nodes is already nice if we want to only run operations team stuff. So, for example, run 2 OpenSearch nodes and also stuff like an Nginx proxy manager, stuff like that. Yeah, don't talk to me about being sleepy, otherwise we'll nod off together. Yeah, maybe I should get more water. On my home server, I'm only running Portainer in a single instance setup, the most minimal of all. So 3 nodes are free. That is already something that I could use in production for operations stuff, because we won't need more than 3 nodes to run what we use internally, say a Grafana instance and things like that. Especially with what we can get now in terms of bare metal. Just yesterday I got the new Hetzner newsletter where they introduced their new bare metal server with, what was it, 24 cores, so 48 threads, up to 512 gigabytes of RAM, and either a pair of 2 terabyte or 4 terabyte data center NVMe disks, I think we would be able to run quite a bunch of containers on there. Even with only 2, so I would have 1 Portainer node, a spare even. But still, I'm interested in their pricing, so let's see how quickly this spirals out of control. Okay, so starter edition would then give us 5 nodes, 1 starter license per instance. That's $1,000 per year. Okay, that's actually reasonable. Professional then opens things up more broadly. Manage up to 50 nodes, but they are licensed separately. Support, of course, gets better. And that's from 3,000 per year, but I don't know what the initial number of nodes would be there. Would it be 10 nodes starters? What do you estimate? But still, 3,000. Can GNOME calculate in its search form? 3,000 by 12. That's $250 a month. I would say it should be, I guess, at least 3 times the starter edition, because the price is 3 times, so 15 nodes. How many nodes do I think we would need to run our hosting platform with Docker containers? 10 to 20 bare metal servers, tightly packed. Yeah, I guess 3,000 a year wouldn't be too bad. I guess I'll have to contact sales to find out more. Let's look. What do you mean by node? As a server, physical server, whatever. Basically a Portainer instance, right? Do Docker, Swarm, Kubernetes, and Nomad require different licenses? No. Wait, Portainer can talk to Nomad? Interesting. Portainer Community Edition is open source software designed for individuals or small self-managing teams. Exclusive to BE is GitOps automation, okay. Hey Indrek, welcome to the stack. excellent question. I asked myself the same question earlier, and I thought it would be a kind of a nicer alternative to Docker Desktop, but as I'm finding out now, it goes way beyond that. Even the Community Edition alone does a lot of stuff that Docker Desktop doesn't do. And the Business Edition, where you have to pay for licenses, can even do much more with access management and all these things. You can deploy into Kubernetes, all that stuff. So yeah, it's Bethesda. That's actually a good comparison. It's closer to Rancher, and less geared towards Kubernetes. Mm-hmm. Indrek, you just joined in the past few minutes, I think, and that's why you missed how Portainer does look like in my own little home lab here. So it does look a little bit like Docker Desktop with having a dashboard, and I can see how many containers I'm running and stuff. And even for that little use case alone, it's pretty nifty. I can see my containers and the resources they use. What I used, for example, to migrate my Tube Archivist archive over is that you can also spin up a console inside the container itself. So I can simply go and connect, and now I'm inside my container. And what I then did was simply use SSH to pull all the content, including the configuration as well, from my Synology NAS to clone that 100%. And then I restarted my containers on my new home server, and everything was migrated over simply by using a quick console, because that then gives me access to the volumes. There is, I think, a /config, or it's, doesn't matter. Especially there's a YouTube directory that is actually a volume. And I was able to copy everything into this volume that I already had downloaded in the other instance on my Synology NAS. And then I can simply exit that. And what I can also do is mount SMB shares from here, which was something that I didn't know I could do even. But down here, the Tube Archivist media volume here, that is mounted to /YouTube, is actually a volume that uses CIFS to access my new TrueNAS scale instance running on the same home server. And that way, Tube Archivist actually uses a NAS share without even knowing that. It simply accesses its /YouTube directory, but that goes through to a share on my TrueNAS instance. So that's pretty cool. And everything is done via the GUI. You have these app templates, which makes spinning up a common service easy as fuck. And so if I want to use Gotify, for example, to get notifications, I can spin that up within a minute, I think. So yeah, Portainer is pretty cool. And today I'm looking at Portainer with a different perspective, namely... Sorry. Namely for running containers in production. So that's a different use case. My company has been running a managed hosting platform for 13 years now, and we are using a mix of bare metal servers, LXC containers, and also cloud instances, and I'm very interested in moving to container and image-based deployment. And that means I need a way to deploy hosting payloads, but also services like OpenSearch, which I researched in my previous stream and earlier today, in production, and make this more manageable than simply running Docker Compose up manually on a server. And that's why I'm looking into Portainer as a solution here, at least as an entry-level solution. Balthasar, you said earlier that you're not sure if I would benefit from the business edition. Excuse me. A bit of a dry throat, but drinking apparently doesn't help. What did you mean by that? Doesn't the community edition have built-in limitations? So what about running the community edition on, say, 5 nodes? Would that even be possible from how the software is built and made available? Maybe this article answers that question, actually. Let's see. Portainer Community Edition is our open source version. Wait, you had 20 Portainer nodes talking to each other. CE provides a general-purpose management toolset that allows individuals to deploy and manage container-native applications with a high degree of ease, a lower cost of operations, and without needing to exclusively invest in any single orchestrator, Kubernetes distribution, container runtime, or cloud provider. Huh. It's purely a feature gate, which is clever, I think. Huh. Interesting. Now I'm calculating how this could look like. So in terms of running a smaller number of services that don't need to be automated that much because we only spin them up once, like say a OpenSearch node or a Grafana instance or what else? All kinds of stuff, I guess, that gets deployed once and then it's done. That would be an interesting entry to solve our most pressing problems. Yeah, as I think it's said in this article or in the FAQ that you simply need to spin up. You probably need to, or basically need to replace your CE instances with BE instances, and they'll take over. But that's not an issue. See, basically I have 2 different use cases here. The first use case is operations internal. So now that I have OpenSearch and FluentD working, I immediately want to have a 2-node OpenSearch cluster where I can pump our most central web server logs into and analyze them and maybe even create some alerting. And I want to What happened there? How did I scroll down there? I want to spin up these things quite quickly. Exegete, way ahead of you. Look at what I have here. Let's go back to my Portainer. Containers. And there we have Uptime Kuma running, and that has been spun up yesterday afternoon. Let's go to port 3001. That doesn't work, but if I go to portainer.home.arpa 3001. And, yes, I haven't put that into one password yet. There's one uptime check for my personal blog. And if I go in here and edit, look at that, there's notify. So I get notified when my personal blog goes down. Yeah, and spinning up Uptime Kuma as a container took me about 5 minutes, all in all. And that's generous. So that would be another of these services that I would like to spin up in our operations internal Portainer cluster, basically. So I can actually run one of these Uptime Kuma instances, for example. So Portainer CE would be great to do that. It doesn't need the large-scale automation that we would need for our hosting platform. Beth has asked, do you have facilities at home to run wildcard DNS names? I don't think so. So far, I've been using manual entries that I made into Pi-hole. And since it's only a handful of services, that was fine. If you have any recommendation to easily get wildcard DNS names, because everything here runs under the home.arpa domain, which is one of the official domains that you can use for your own stuff. I could use some wildcard DNS, but as I said, yeah, if I spin up one more service per week and have to make a manual entry for that, then that's fine as well. Technicium's DNS server. Okay. Let's take a look at that. Technicium DNS server. Open source server for privacy and security. Self-hosted DNS server, privacy and security. Block ads and malware at DNS level for your entire... So it's kind of a Pi-hole replacement? It's an open source authoritative as well as recursive DNS server, can be used for self-hosting. DNS server for privacy and security works out of the box. No minimal configuration and provides a user-friendly web console accessible using any modern web browser. Nobody really bothers about domain resolution until it breaks. Block ads at DNS level. You can include external block lists. Interesting. Docker image available on Docker Hub. So let's get that Portainer up once again, and let's see if there is a template for that. Not yet, it looks like. But still, we have Cloudflare DNS, small and fast. That's DDNS. Okay, no, that's not what I'm looking for. duck DNS, which will point a DNS subdomain of duck DNS to an IP of your choice. Oh, okay, that's just a... I guess it's also DDNS, right? For why else would I need to run this myself? Then there's Let's Encrypt. Yeah, no DNS server in this list, but still, Portainer of course also allows you to run images that are not available as a template by simply writing either entering the image name or writing a short Docker Compose file. So that's definitely good to know. Technetium DNS. Huh. That's very kind of you. Don't bother. I'll get in touch on Discord if I'll set it up. RNordDK, thanks for following. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the stack. Speaking of Discord, if you'd like to join a friendly, nifty community of DevOps people, then join us on the Opsative Discord. We have weekly community calls and, of course, lots of topic channels where we can discuss, for example, setting up a DNS server. It's also where I run my Linux Master Course, a course that you can do self-guided, and where you can ask your questions in Discord, and I'll answer them either on Discord itself or during my Opsative office hour, which I'm doing on Friday afternoons here on Twitch. So, turns out Portainer CE could at least be a nice entry to run our operations tools on the internet. Huh. That's, of course, a very clever setup you have there, Balthasar. Doing having unassigned records route automatically to your compute node, where traffic then takes the host name and relates it to Docker container labels. And then make that service available. That's genius. Yeah, that's brilliant. Well done. Now I have to think about how much of our hosting services, how many of our hosting services I would already like to run on such a Portainer instance, because that can spin out of control quickly as well, because say the OpenSearch research that I did on Tuesday and today was mostly initiated by a customer asking for an Elasticsearch instance, and since we can't offer Elasticsearch for license reasons to them, I decided to research OpenSearch, which was created for exactly that reason, so that hosting providers can actually offer search as a service. And I am, of course, tempted to run OpenSearch in this hypothetical Portainer setup, But if you want to offer that as a product add-on at scale to all of our customers, and everyone comes and says, yeah, I'd like to have my own OpenSearch instance as well, and I'd like it as reliable as the rest, which means we would have to run OpenSearch clusters with redundant nodes, suddenly our ops-only Portainer cluster would become a hosting platform container cluster, and we would have to then do the manual administration, albeit using a GUI ourselves instead of having infrastructure as code, which has enabled us to scale over more than a decade now. So yeah, I think we really have to have clear visibility of our demarcation lines where our internal tooling stops and customer-facing services start, and not get tempted to run everything in Portainer. ArnoldDK asks, how are you familiar with YubiKeys? If so, can you do a live session about configuring SSH authentication with a YubiKey? Have I tried that yet? I remember trying that, and I definitely have an ed something key on my disk exactly for that reason. But I'm not really sure if I did it to the end. So that would definitely be something that I would be inclined to do on one of my next live streams. My next live stream would be Tuesday next week. And that being said, Tuesday next week is Halloween, isn't it? And yeah, I have an external appointment on that day. We are starting brainstorming on a new marketing strategy, so I don't think I'll be in the office on Tuesday. There might not be a live stream, actually. Let me quickly check if that is the case. Where's my calendar? So that's this week. This is next week. Yes, next Tuesday I will not be able to do a live stream. The marketing strategy meeting with our strategy consultants is in the morning, but getting back to the office will take until later in the afternoon, and so there won't be a live stream on Tuesday. So next Thursday could be another opportunity to try the YubiKey setup, because that's something that I'm interested in myself. I have a YubiKey here in my workstation that I use, for example, as authentication with quite a bunch of web services, and also with 1Password, where I simply have to touch this YubiKey micro that is plugged in permanently into my workstation. And I also have a YubiKey on my keychain that I use when I'm out and about with my laptop. And while I can't use it fully for SSH, because many of our servers in our hosting infrastructure are running older Linux distributions that don't yet support security keys for SSH authentication, I am definitely interested in the topic. And so that's something that I would like to explore. So I will actually write that down. Let's see. I have a note. Live stream ideas, right? Content ideas. Here we go. Setup YubiKey with SSH, or it's rather the other way around, right? It's a setup SSH support for YubiKey. We can do that. I need to remind myself to look into the list, and if I am successful with that, we'll do it next Thursday. Bethesda wrote, it's a lot better than the hand config setup I used. Yeah, definitely. Let me suggest this. There's more than one way to do GitOps with containers, and you're already real adept with Chef. Yeah, that's correct. So I guess... Well, let's say Portainer is definitely a solution that we can use to get running with containers and to basically open up the world of containers to our internal tooling. I'm pretty sure there are 2 or 3 Portainer nodes in my near future. Simply to get things running. There's also a guide, Portainer versus Rancher. If that's not too complicated to read, because I'm really getting a little bit tired. This is a question we could ask for a long time. The answer was, well, we are not really sure as we don't use those tools. We spent considerable time deploying and understanding Ranger and OpenShift. If I had to draw a similarity, Portainer is more like OpenShift than we are like Rancher. Primarily due to the product strategy of OpenShift, which is to make the hard easy. This is very similar to our goal of reducing toil and mental burden in the operation of Kubernetes. Rancher is basically a one-on-one technical translation of API to UI and doesn't attempt to enable non-experts to operate the platform. That's totally acceptable strategy. Okay, I can see. So they have built a, basically paraphrasing that, a GUI to the raw Kubernetes API, which is definitely already an improvement in usability, if you want to have this, things more visual than a whole heap of YAML files. Build environments. Portainer helps you deploy managed Kubernetes clusters, which is our recommended way of consuming Kubernetes, unless you have a large dedicated team of Kubernetes experts. Yeah, my opinion too. Multi-cluster management is a multi-cluster manager that's extremely lightweight and can provide centralized access control and governance at scale. Platform versus tools, if you want a quick view of resource usage. Okay, yeah, not worried about that. Of course, it'll give you insight into your resource usage. But let's see, build environments. Straight off the bat, Portainer and Rancher/OpenShift serve 2 very different needs. Rancher and OpenShift are both tools that you use to construct yourself a Kubernetes cluster. One that is self-managed. Portainer as a company does not provide a Kubernetes distribution, and we have no mechanism to build an on-premises cluster in our app. So if this is your primary need, we won't help there, but we can help you build Kubernetes clusters through cloud provider KaaS offerings, which arguably is the most operationally efficient way of using Kubernetes anyway. Oh, and then they put Portainer on top of, say, a Google Kubernetes cluster to make things more easily maintainable. Okay. All 3 products aim to be much more than just an alternative to the Kubernetes dashboard. In reality, all these projects aim to provide a comprehensive Kubernetes management platform. Yep. Portainer made a decision to integrate with the Kubernetes metrics API, which gives a good level of observability, rather than requiring all users to deploy the resource-heavy Prometheus and Grafana. In my opinion, you still want Prometheus and Grafana. There's almost no use case I can imagine that doesn't benefit from running Prometheus and Grafana. Okay. Well, I'm not too interested in the Kubernetes side of things yet, so I'm not going to spend much more time on that particular topic. What do they mean by platform management, though? Control all your environments from one interface. Yeah, that's why there is this entry page where you choose your environment, which is already nice. Create new clusters. Okay, that's Kubernetes. Image registries. Blah, 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 blah. That's also more Kubernetes than anything else. They're really pushing and investing in the Kubernetes controller direction. I see. Okay, that goes beyond what I'm aiming at this time, at least. How strange. That Octotherp, which is obviously the Slack icon, turns in my eyes into some kind of a cross, depending on how I look at it. And I was curious what kind of an icon that was. And then I blinked and I recognized it was the Slack icon. That's very strange. That's one of these optical illusions. Huh. Interesting. Bethesda, they do have a provisioner for setting up Portainer on what they call edge nodes, but I don't really understand the difference yet. Yeah, this whole edge computing thing is also something that I'm not really interested in. I guess my needs are much more pedestrian. Because so far we are still doing... we are running our services in a very old school way, only highly automated, using Chef and other tools. And so we are actually only starting to get into the container-based operations stuff. And I think Portainer would be a gentle entry into this new world. And yeah, maybe they are workshopping that themselves at this stage. The whole edge computing thing. Okay, that's definitely interesting. Let's switch gears and take a look at Kamal. Kamal is geared towards deploying Rails applications as Docker containers. But I don't think anything. You're limited to Rails applications. So let's take a look at the Kamal documentation. I mean, I'm interested in it from a Rails application deployment perspective already, because our hosting dashboard that our customers use from day to day is a Rails application. So I'm definitely interested in how I could deploy that application to my own servers instead of to Heroku. But how about using Kamal for deploying other stuff as well? Let's see, the installation is basically a tutorial for a small use case where you have 2 servers. You need to provide a registry where Docker images come from, a few environment values that your application is going to need. Most of the stuff is environment files that you can also auto-generate from a secrets store like 1Password or Bitwarden. Wait, that's already very technical. Can I get a basic tutorial? Or is the video the basic tutorial, I guess? Wait, the name. Kamal is named after the ancient Arab navigational tool used by sailors to keep course by determining the latitude via the pole star. So there is no... Not sure why this is relevant and why... well, Maersk was relevant because Kamal, or the application, helps you shipping your Rails applications. I'm not sure how they ended up with Kamal. Yes, I'm back to looking at Maersk or Kamal. Again, read the docs. Installation. There is no tutorial, right? Yeah, pretty petty of Maersk to do that. I'm really not sure how they would be impacted by an IT tool having the same name, but still, it is what it is. I simply want to have a single Kamal configuration file on screen. So let's do Kamal tutorial example or something. Okay, look, Greg has done a... Okay, so that's the Docker file. Few environments. What does he use as? He uses a Ruby image as the base. Makes sense. Gem file, bundle install. Copy the application in there. Bootsnap precompile, assets precompile. Bundle everything. Add a Rails user. Interesting. Everything runs as a... That's a solid Docker file, I have to admit. And here's the command configuration. So we have the servers with only one web server and a few traffic configurations. There's also a job instance. Great, yeah, where he runs Sidekick. ThinkBit, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the stack. Exactly. Shipping containers is not equal to shipping containers. And then there's the registry and environment variables. And here we have the accessories, which are basically auxiliary services, where we spin up Redis. From the latest Redis image, we We could spin up Postgres as well. I wonder if that why that is not included in here. Okay. And that's it. So how would... Now I need to abstract this to a more generic case. The server section is basically the application that needs to be deployed to multiple hosts even, or in multiple instances. Here in this case, it's the same application that gets deployed as the Rails application and then as the Sidekick application, where we run a different command. Here it's Rails server and here it's Sidekick. So yeah, servers is basically all the instances of my application, and everything else goes into the add-ons or accessories. And here we can spin up everything else that we need. Okay. And then there's traffic that gets managed by Kamal. So we have to have traffic configuration for that is specific to our application. So this is mostly to deploy web applications, be they Rails applications or something different. Could we deploy customer applications that way? I think we could. It would require quite a few tweaks to the hosts. For example, having access to network storage and things like that. But I can imagine being able to deploy our customer applications that way too. Not sure if I want to, but it's a possibility. And today, I'm mostly exploring options here. And it does even support additional sidecar type apps. Nice. I didn't rule out Kubernetes, maybe connected to GitLab, but I'm mostly exploring what other options are there that don't require having a complex environment like Kubernetes. Ceph and Longhorn are definitely also options, but I think they are both object stores, if I'm not mistaken. Even though Ceph also offers a POSIX file system, right? So, yeah. We already have a network storage with lots of terabytes of storage in there that's based on MooseFS, which is a POSIX-based network file system, and it's amazingly stable, and we are very happy that we switched from GlusterFS back in the day. Both provide a regular file system. Okay, that's great. Yeah, but I don't think it would be too much of a challenge for us to set up Kamal hosts that already have access to, say, our MooseFS file system and other stuff in place that we need, and still deploy Docker containers, and then simply mount the appropriate shared storage directories into the containers as volumes. So that's not too complicated. And I'll definitely try, Kamal, to deploy our own application, because yeah, I can see us replacing Heroku with a self-hosted version managed by Kamal. I'm not sure if it'll help us in our hosting platform scenario, though. There's, I think in our hosting scenario, orchestrators that have, for example, scheduling for the payloads where they can select the appropriate node themselves, and you simply provide the system with your application image and a few constraints, and then the platform does everything itself. So something like Kubernetes or HashiCorp Nomad is probably where I'm aiming at in terms of deployment of our customer websites, which are thousands and thousands of websites. But for our own use, to deploy our central application, Kamal looks like the way to go. And for our own internal use, Portainer looks like the way to go in terms of containers. And I think exploring Nomad will also be a topic in one of my upcoming live streams, because that's something that I would really, really like to try. Actually, the main thing I love about Kubernetes is density. Yep. Yeah, I'm very interested too. I spent a few hours yesterday researching Nomad, reading a lot of documentation, and it looks great. It's quite easy to deploy stuff there. And it has its own little service discovery mechanism built in. So the applications that you spin up can or automatically get registered in a central registry, so you can actually find out where the application is running, especially if you have a use case with, say, a Rails application and a PostgreSQL database. You can actually query Nomad. Here, I'm the Rails application. Where's my database? And you get the host name and port to which it has been deployed. And then you talk to your database, and that's that. But of course, HashiCorp being HashiCorp, you can also replace the built-in service discovery of Nomad with Consul, which is more sophisticated and more powerful. And that's also something that we definitely will need, because everything is redundant in our hosting platform. So, for example, all the websites run in multiple application on multiple application hosts or application instances, and so we need to be able to search for them, because they need to be configured in Varnish as our reverse proxy. So Varnish can talk to all the application nodes. We oftentimes run multiple memcached instances for quick caching of application data, and so the application needs to be able to quickly find the current memcached nodes, even if they had to be rescheduled to other nodes, and things like that. So service discovery is definitely something that will be central to our way we choose our next infrastructure. Yeah, you're pretty much left to using Vault if you want to have secrets management. That's true. And I still remember you mentioned on Tuesday that you're not too happy about Vault because it's too convoluted, right? I don't have any experience with Vault myself, but that was the impression I got from what you wrote. I'll have to look into that too, I guess, because if we say Nomad and Consul, which we are already running, then we might be on our way to using Vault as well. And very robust, very capable, very complicated. Okay. Well, there's always a price you need to pay, isn't there? Yeah, so I might have to look into Vault as well. But first, let's try out Nomad, shall we? I'm afraid I won't do it today because, yeah, I don't have the energy. I'll be honest. I probably should get outside and do my silent walk and, yeah, get some fresh air. It's really strange because I had a good night's sleep. I went to bed early-ish yesterday, and I got complimented by my iPhone this morning for getting my more than 8 hours of sleep. But still, maybe it's maybe I should get myself checked for sleep apnea. That might be the case that I feel that might be the reason why I feel tired even after a full night of sleep. Oh, ThinkBit says I had nothing but spooky stories about Vault. That doesn't really bode well. And there aren't too many secrets management platforms out there, are they? If you'd asked me what else could I use, I wouldn't be able to tell you an alternative, I think. Yeah, I guess I should pursue that as well, because I am definitely snoring at night. Much to the chagrin of my wife, and Mozilla Zops. Uh-huh. I'll have a look at that too. Let's look it up. That way it'll also burn into my memory better. Get SOPs. Secrets operations. No, that's not what I'm looking for, actually. Is that under Sam Cooke? Let's see. No. Well, wait, Get SOPs is? Okay. Got confused, I guess. SOPs is an editor of encrypted files. Okay. Oh. I'll have a look at the YouTube tutorial, because I don't quite see how this is a secrets management tool. It more looks like these secrets management tools that you run in the terminal to store your passwords and stuff. But since there is so many mention of cloud-based stuff, yeah, I'm probably mistaken. I'll have a look. Thanks for the tip. ThinkBit also has used SOPs. Great. Yeah, I think Rails, yeah, that's probably how it works, isn't it? Having plain text files, but the contents are encrypted. Just earlier today, I did some pair programming with a colleague, actually. We needed to find a way to sync Let's Encrypt certificates between two redundant proxy servers. And we chose to actually use the same kind of encryption where we use documents, basically JSON documents that get stored in plain text on our Chef server. But we'll use encryption to store them safely. And even the shared secret that we use for encryption is then again shared safely because it's stored encrypted in a way that only our operations teams can actually open. And that way we've actually workshopped a pretty solid system. I'm pretty happy with that. yeah, so the secrets management using a shared secret that simply gets used to encrypt sensitive data but stored in plain text formats is a great way to go, I think. And SOPS seems to me to go in that direction too. Okay, I was about to talk about something else. Yeah, the silent walk that I mentioned. So that's something, Exegete, you asked me about my new way of doing time blocking, and it's less about which tools I use and more about what I actually use for time blocking, or what I block time for. And one of the things that I decided to do is, first of all, I wanted to get back into speed walking, into the finite type of exercise, the finite singularity way of doing exercise. And I actually got back. Yesterday I did my first speed walk in quite a while, and I still have the sore muscles to show for it. And I'll do these on days I don't do a live stream, because my live stream takes up a huge part of my afternoons. And so Tuesdays and Thursdays, I don't do any speed walks, because combined with the shower I have to take and all that stuff, it'll be too much. And I need a bit of time before dinner to have family time. And so I decided to slot in a silent walk after my live streams, which is just a walk around town or through a park or something. But I wanted to emphasize that I want to make place for my own thoughts. So I'm not going to put in headphones and listen to a podcast as I do during my speed walks. I don't think anyone can think while they're doing speed walking or jogging. At least I can't. And so I'm listening to podcasts during my exercise, but during my walks, I want to be able to have my own thoughts, and that's why I labeled them silent walks, where all I hear is the sounds of my environment. And that's what I'm going to do after this stream, after I wrapped up the stream. And I do these on Tuesdays and Thursdays after my live streams, and I'm pretty sure that'll improve my life a little bit too. So yeah, we've been going 2 hours anyway. So it's not that we didn't achieve anything today. I'm quite happy of having found Portainer as one of the tools we're going to use. I guess I shoot myself a few bare metal servers and install Portainer on them, and then let's see where it gets us. And that's also something that I might actually share on stream while I'm building it. And yeah. So one more thing that I can write down in my notes, actually. Set up Portainer for operations tools. Great. Another streaming idea after the SSH support for YubiKeys. So yeah, I guess that's that. Anything else? Don't think so. Tomorrow I'll do the office hour stream at 1 p.m. UTC. I'll collect questions that I get via Discord and answer them on stream. Or, of course, I'll also answer live questions posted in chat. And I guess then it's the weekend. Actually, I think I have tomorrow off, isn't it? Don't I? Yeah, tomorrow is the last Friday in this month, which means it's my company's Family, Friends and Fun Friday, where we get the day off. But since we switched from Google Calendar to Nextcloud, and Nextcloud can't do repeated entries like every last Friday of the month, I don't have it in my calendar anymore. Well, good thing that I remembered that, otherwise I would have appeared to work tomorrow, and we can't have that, can we? Drum roll, please. Uh-oh, yeah. Yeah, that's actually true. I mean, Nextcloud is one of the most sophisticated tools in the office and collaboration space, and I'm pretty happy to see where it's gotten so far, including online collaboration on documents and things like that. But yeah, I wanted to transfer our FFF Friday into our new Nextcloud calendar, and then I found, okay, you can only do oh wait. Am I just rubber ducking here? And I am actually wrong. Would I have had to say monthly? Wait, where's my Office browser instance? Nextcloud. I mean, I really don't want to slander Nextcloud here. So, let's see. I have an event entered here. No, I haven't. But someone has. And that's a yearly... Okay, I lied. Apologies, Nextcloud. You simply say yearly in January, February, March, and so on and so on and so on the last Friday. And repeat never. And that's it. Okay. User stupidity error. Yeah, see? That's rubber ducking in action. Just by explaining it to you, I wasn't able to say monthly, but it's... Yeah, the philosophy is different. I tried to say monthly on the last Friday, and that doesn't work. But if you use the yearly recurrence, then you can choose the months, and then you can say on the last Friday. Let me make sure this calendar is actually on my planning view as well. So I was afraid I had to inform or remind my colleagues as well, but as it turns out, I probably was the last person to realize that tomorrow is off. Okay. Still, it's a good thing. So yeah, Nextcloud is definitely a good CalDAV server. I've integrated it into Morgan, which I'm using for arranging appointments and things like that. I have integrated it with Fantastical, which I'm using on my iOS devices. Nextcloud is pretty neat, and yeah, I guess apparently there's less and less stuff that I can't do with Nextcloud once I found out how. Well then, I will still do my office hour live stream tomorrow afternoon. I'll be well rested, I assume. I'll spend the day probably reading and maybe researching. I shouldn't work. I'll spend the day reading, except for my office hour live stream, okay? Promise. And I hope to see you there. If not, as I said earlier, next Tuesday there won't be a live stream because I'll be out of office. And so the next live coding and system administration stream will be next Thursday at 1 p.m. UTC. But tomorrow office hour is definitely coming, and I hope to see you then. If not, have a great weekend already, and take care.